The Champions League draw is now set, and I'm going to give you my final predictions. And I have to say, Arsenal are going to be looking at their sort of journey to the final with, a smile on their face. I think they are the winners of this Champions League draw. There's some really interesting games I think will be really difficult to predict because there's some Prem teams that I don't think are at their very best, but the Prem has kind of shown this superiority in the Champions League this season, how dominant they are. We've got Arsenal, Leverkusen, and Bodo against Sporting. So if Arsenal beat Leverkusen, they will play Sporting or Bodo in the quarter, which for me, I think Arsenal are already in the semi-final again. Tottenham Atletico will be an interesting game. Again, we saw Atletico get battered 4-0 by Arsenal. We've got Newcastle, Barcelona. Newcastle did beat Barcelona earlier in the season, but the pace of Newcastle's attack versus the Barcelona high line, a lot of people think Barcelona will win that. I'm not so sure. We've got Atalanta, Bayern Munich. Again, you would kind of expect Bayern Munich to go there through. Real Madrid, Man City, that's going to be a tough game for both sides. I think both teams won't be happy with that draw. We did see Real Madrid, get battered by Arsenal last season. I think personally, the English clubs have been doing a number over the Spanish clubs lately. It used to be the other way round. We've got Liverpool, Galatasaray. Was it Galatasaray that beat you at the beginning of the season, which kind of triggered your losing run? I think it might have been. That won't be an easy game. But the thing about Liverpool Galatasaray is it's the away game that's difficult. The home game, I think it should be relatively easy. And then PSG, Chelsea. Now Chelsea beat PSG in the Club World Cup final. So I'm going to go through all of these games, predict who I think is going to win, and tell you what my final Champions League predictions are. But of course, do let me know yours down below. We're going to start with this side of the draw. And we've got Chelsea, PSG, Galatasaray, Liverpool, Real Madrid, City, Atalanta, Bayern Munich. So the easiest one is Bayern. Boom, in, done. I think Bayern are already in. And Man City, if they beat Real Madrid, will have to face Bayern Munich. I think Man City are the losers of this draw. And to be honest, as a Man United fan, the last team I want to win the Champions League is City. If City, or actually Liverpool, but then Liverpool have won it loads. City and Liverpool are two teams I really don't want to see win it, and Arsenal would be pretty unbearable if they won it. So I've got a lot of hate watching to do, and to be honest, I'm just jealous. I wish Man United were in the Champions League. I'm so actually jealous because the Prem's a bit boring this season. Like, the Champions League's where it's at. I think City are going to beat Real Madrid. Yep. Oh, my mic's fallen over there. I think Manchester City are going to beat Real Madrid. And that might surprise people. But we saw what Arsenal did to Real Madrid last season. Liverpool were in the middle of their big run of losses. I think when Liverpool lost 9 out of 12 games between end of September and December last season, one of the games they didn't lose was Real Madrid. And Liverpool were in a string of losing 9 out of 12 games. They beat Real Madrid. Arsenal have battered Real Madrid. The English teams have, done a number on Real Madrid. So I think Manchester City are going to beat Real Madrid. I think Liverpool are good enough to knock out Galatasaray. I don't think it's going to be easy. We saw the Juventus game. But I think Liverpool are good enough to beat Galatasaray. I think if they can survive the away leg, they easily win the home leg. PSG Chelsea. That's another tough one to predict because I go back to the PSG in the group stage. And they weren't amazing. But PSG weren't amazing in the group stage last year. And they won the whole competition. Like, you look at the players that PSG have. Dembele, Desiree Doué, Kvaratskhelia. They've got so many quality players, PSG, that even though they didn't really convince me in the group stage, they didn't really convince me in the group stage last year and they won the competition. I do think they're weaker this year. Newcastle almost beat PSG at their own stadium. Harvey Barnes missed in the last minute and Newcastle almost beat them. We've seen how dominant the English teams have been, but PSG did beat a load of English teams last year to win the competition. I think Chelsea can do something to PSG. But I'm going to be completely honest, because Maresca's gone, and this is no dig at Rossinha. I think Rossinha's been fine, but we haven't seen Rossinha in big games. I know with Maresca, there was a lot that he got wrong that I think Rossinha has improved. But one thing about Maresca is I felt that Maresca's management in big games was always good. I felt that Maresca, when it came to the Club World Cup final, when it came to the Conference League final, I felt Maresca's big game management was good. I don't know what Rossinha's big game management's like. It might be really good, but because I don't know that, I'm going to go with PSG. So we've got PSG versus Liverpool. We've got Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. Man City versus Bayern Munich as the next set of games. Now let's go to the other side of the draw. But this side, as I mentioned, we've got PSG, Liverpool, City, Bayern as what I think will be the next games, which brings me to this bracket, which is interesting. This is, I think, the easier bracket. I think this is the side of the bracket that people wanted to be on. We've got Arsenal, Leverkusen. That is Arsenal. Like, there's no, I just do not see Leverkusen doing anything to Arsenal. And we've got Bodo Sporting. Bodo have proven in the big games that they're not an easy team to beat. It'll be interesting to see how they do against Sporting, who's a team that, they may have to break down rather than be defensively strong. Atletico, Tottenham, and Newcastle, Barcelona. Again, I think these games, other than the Arsenal game is actually quite difficult to predict, if I was going to be totally honest. But let's have a look at this. So my predictions are, okay, and this might be unpopular. I think Newcastle are going to beat Barcelona. That might be unpopular. That might be. Lamine is incredible. Newcastle's defence and Nick Pope is gettable. I know. But Newcastle have pace. Newcastle are pace merchants. They've got pace. What do Barcelona play? A high line. Newcastle's pace versus Barcelona's high line. I know that Barcelona won at St. James's Park earlier in the season. But I just have a feeling that Newcastle are going to do something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they get battered. But I just saw that Newcastle have been in the PSG game. They were in the Barcelona game. The thing that might cost Newcastle is finishing. I think Newcastle will get the chances to win the game. I think Barcelona will concede enough chances that Newcastle can win the game if they can finish. But Murphy hasn't been very good in front of goal. Alanga hasn't been very good in front of goal. Gordon has been good in front of goal in the Champions League, so that's a tick. And Harvey Barnes is decent in front of goal. So you've got Harvey Barnes and Gordon at firing. Voltemada's low on confidence. This is invisible at the moment. Murphy and Alanga that aren't really firing. I don't know when Bruno Guimaraes is back. I mean, he will be huge. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Joelinton midfield three. Physically, if Bruno Guimaraes is back, will cause the likes of Pedri issues. And Pedri's a phenomenal player, but I'm thinking physically, I think a Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Joelinton midfield three causes Barcelona issues. I honestly believe it. I think they will get chances, Newcastle, to win the game with Barcelona's high line. It's just, if Alanga gets a one-on-one through on goal, are we backing Alanga to put it away? I don't know. And Joan Garcia is a good keeper, but I'm going to go with Newcastle. I'm going to go with Newcastle to beat Barcelona. I'm going to go Tottenham, Atletico. I don't know, because I've not seen enough of Igor Tudor's Tottenham to predict this. It's like, I don't know how Igor Tudor's going to do with Tottenham in these kind of games. I don't know what Tottenham's injuries are going to be like, because Tottenham have about 5 players fit, it feels like. Atleti, I don't think are that good. They got absolutely cooked by Arsenal. So Spurs and Atleti already have something in common. They've both been cooked by Arsenal this season. I think just with the form that Tottenham are in and the injuries that Tottenham have, and the fact that I think Tottenham's focus will now be staying up, I think I'm going to put Atleti to win that. But I'm not confident Atleti win that, because Tottenham have been good in the Champions League. I'm not confident Atleti win that, but I just think you look at Tottenham right now, and I think it would be disrespectful to La Liga. I feel like if I think Tottenham, where they are, could just walk past Atleti, but they could. Like, we've seen Man United have their most awful season last year, batter Bilbao. We've seen what the Prem clubs have actually done in the Champions League this season, which is why part of me wants to go with Tottenham. But I just think with the injuries, I don't know, but then Kolo Muani, Solanke, Xavi Simons, there's a quality there for Tottenham. It really depends on Tudor, but I'm going to go with Atleti. Look, they beat Club Brugge 7-4. I mean, that's a battering. I don't know, Romero, Van der Ven. I think they've got a good. I think it's going to go down to the wire, but I think Atleti win. I think Tottenham maybe run out of steam, maybe something like that. I just think with the injuries and stuff, I'm going to go Atleti, but I'm not that confident on it. And then Bodo Sporting, I'm going to go with Bodo. Like, part of me thinks that Bodo may find this harder purely because, like, they have to maybe break Sporting down, but I'm just going to back Bodo. They've been good, and Leverkusen, Arsenal, which brings us to Bodo, Arsenal, and Atleti, Newcastle are the next games. So they are the next games. in the UCL, which brings me to my final 8. So I'm going to change graphics. Bear with me. I could just edit this out, but I'm going to try and film in one take, guys. So can you see my final 8 graphic here? So this is my prediction for the final 8. PSG, Liverpool, Man City, Bayern, Arsenal, Bodo, and Atletico versus Newcastle. That is quite interesting. Again, I'm not confident that PSG beat Chelsea, to be honest. I think Chelsea could do something. I think, Real Madrid City could go either way. I think Tottenham could actually do something to Atletico. But these are my predictions. Arsenal are going to beat Bodo. I know that Bodo have caused a lot of the big clubs issues, but this is a quarterfinal. This isn't just a random league game. This is the quarterfinal. Arsenal's defence is very strong. I think Arsenal beat Bodo. Over 2 legs, yes. I think if it was over 1 leg, maybe Bodo. If it was like one-off game, maybe Bodo can cause some issues if Arsenal had to go away to Bodo. But I think over 2 legs, we saw Tottenham destroy Bodo over 2 legs last year. I think Arsenal were capable of doing that. I think City Bayern will be difficult, but I'm going to back Bayern because City aren't at their very best. But again, I think City can win that. We've seen Arsenal go and batter Bayern earlier in the season. We've seen that the Prem clubs are very dominant. PSG Liverpool, I was 50-50 on this, a little bit like Chelsea PSG, because PSG aren't the same team they were last season. PSG have been vulnerable, but Liverpool don't have much depth. It's a difficult one because I think Liverpool might focus on the Champions League, but they also need to get top 4 or top 5. It's like if Liverpool feel comfortable getting top 5, I think, and they can push for UCL more. It's a difficult one to judge because I feel like ECILA could be back. The injured players might return, some of them, and I think Liverpool have looked better and more defensively secure. I think Liverpool can do something, but I think PSG win. But I think it will be close. But I think PSG just win it. I think Man City beat Bayern. But it's hard. I don't want to really bet against the Prem teams because I feel like the Prem is some Super League right now. But I think Bayern and PSG beat Liverpool and City. I think. But we've seen Liverpool go to Inter, easy win. Liverpool beat Real Madrid, easy win. Liverpool could do something to PSG. Arne Slot's obsessed with bringing up the PSG game. I don't think PSG is good this year, but Liverpool aren't as good this year. I think you have to go PSG. But Liverpool have improved, and they've done well in the big games, Liverpool, this season. City, Bayern. Yeah, I think that's going to be Bayern. Arsenal will beat Bodo, and Newcastle Atletico. I think Newcastle win that. But I don't know, but I'm not confident on that. I think Atletico would be a harder game for Newcastle than Barcelona, which people might sit and laugh and go, that's what you want about. I just think Barcelona's high line, Newcastle's pace, boom. Atletico, they're a bit more attacking minded than they used to be, but that's not an easy game. But I think Newcastle are good enough to beat Atletico. We've seen Newcastle in Champions League this season, which brings me into my final 4. PSG Bayern and Arsenal Newcastle. And people might laugh that I put Newcastle here because they're 13th in the Prem. But I just feel like they've got a bit of something about them that could cause some issues, like Bruno Tonali, Joel Linton, midfield 3 is very good. If their attack actually fires, I think they can do something. It's probably their attack needing to fire. I think Chow's good, Lewis Hall's good. If Livermento's fit, he's good. Nick Pope's a liability. But look, I don't give Newcastle any chances of beating Arsenal, to be honest. I think Arsenal will beat Newcastle. We seen Newcastle beat Arsenal in a 2-legged tie, obviously, last year in the Carabao. So, you can't always rule it out. And I think Bayern will beat PSG. I think it's going to be a Bayern-Arsenal final. Harry Kane, please score the winner and dunk on Arsenal. Who said that? I think it's going to be a Bayern-Arsenal final. I really want Bayern to win it. I think it's going to be Arsenal's year. I think Arsenal are going to win the Champions League. I think it's going to be their year, unfortunately. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your predictions down below. I feel like I waffled a lot in today's video, so I do apologise. See you next time. Bye.